Thank you, Michelle. Will you be able to see my screen?
Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Michelle. Leadership has the capacity to translate vision into reality. And to make this reality happen, we need to communicate. Communication in this current pandemic situation with our researchers and our laboratory workers with their laboratory activities are absolutely essential to deal with the risk mitigation strategies for future planning. This strategy has been done just before entering the pandemic situation of COVID-19 here in Pakistan in February last year, 2020. For this purpose, we have been very efficient to deal with this situation in Pakistan, and we have planned a training program with the leadership and communication, the novel coronavirus and awareness program for the researchers for future strategies. This program has been done on February last year, 2020, in collaboration with Safer Behaviors and Dr. A.Q. Khan Institute of Biotechnology and Genetic Engineering, University of Karachi. We are very pleased to Sean Kaufman, who has done this virtual training part for the researchers, and we have invited about 215 researchers all over the scene to conduct this training program in February 2020 last year. We are really grateful for the collaboration of Pakistan Biological Safety Association for us to get done this program so well. So what are the strategies we have to do? The strategies we have to deal with is viral shedding can occur in those who has a low sensitivity in the diseases. They are assuming that they are the super spreader in which the passes of the disease at least 18 people. With it would be looking like a SARS or MERS, which has happened last years. Causes of super spreaders are behaviors, misdiagnosis, and severity of the diseases. Virus can be aerosolized. This is the conception over there, and requiring for the respiratory protection is really needed for this purpose. The virus is a lipid virus. This is the protection and very easy to inactivate, but can live on surface or conditioned environment for up to 5 hours. These are the things which we had in mind, and for that purpose, we need to know about the morbidity and the mortality rate for the protection of all these training programs. For this purpose, we had to have this thing in our mind that what we have to have our mortality rate or the morbidity rate. And we need to really know about what are the mortality or the morbidity of this pandemic situation. So for that purpose, we have to address the residual risk factor. Before going into the detail of the residual risk factor, what are the inherent risk factor? The inherent risk factor we have that whatever we have the habitual things in our practices are the inherent one, which can be the agent or the environment which leads to the safety. But what we are thinking is the agent is really the problematic thing which can cause the risk to the society or in the laboratory workers for the research trainings. But actual risk factor is not the agent or the environment, it's basically us. It's basically the people, and they have their human risk factor which can create the culture of the laboratory. And nowadays, the actual residual risk factor is to addressing that human risk factor or the culture of the laboratory or the researchers working among themselves, that how they can deal with it. For that purpose, we have to have a blending approach of biorisk management purpose. And for that purpose, we have to have a biosafety standards to look at it, like the MBL, WHO, NIH guidelines to look at it. And 4 primary controls of biosafety is the second major blending approach to look at it. And finally, the level of applied biosafety, like what we have, the preferential, ideal, or acceptable limits of any kind of the biosafety. This kind of a thing which we have a blending approach to give an idea to the researcher that how we can deal with this pandemic situation through this blending approach of biosafety. For that purpose, we have to have 2 types of controls of biorisk management. Collectively, the biosafety controls and the biosecurity controls will give you the total biorisk management controls of that. So first of all, what would be the biosafety controls? The biosafety control would be the engineering control of the laboratories and personal protective equipment, the one which we have to have really necessary for the development of any kind of a research strategy to deal with in the lab activities, standard operating procedure, and finally the leadership. What are the leaders control throughout the control of biosafety? The biosafety is basically the one which have the unintentional misuse of any kind of a laboratory worker facing in any training program. What are the biosecurity control? They are the intentional misuse of, some of them has asked, the question is that what are the biosafety and biosecurity? The biosecurity is the one which has a intentional misuse. So for that purpose, we have to have a control of the physical, personnel's controls, material and the information control among all the situation of the laboratory. So collectively, the controls of the biosafety and the biosecurity will give you the risk management to deal with any kind of the pandemic situation among the training program with the laboratory workers. For that purpose, we have developed a training process of a program. First of all, the training program to evaluate 4 primary controls has been graded on the scale of 0 to 4. And there is a pre-assessment questionnaire over there. And we have given the pre-assessment and take how much knowledge and skill they have to produce all these researcher work. So afterward, Sean has delivered the training program virtually, and we have then again take the post-assessment after the training program of all these parameters designed by this methodology. The first parameter is the evaluation of primary controls through engineering and PPE. And the plot of that learning objective has to be developed with the pre and post assessment. With that, SOP and leadership has been evaluated, and word cloud has been developed by asking their adjective that how they feel this training program would be. The results are the pre-assessments of evaluation of knowledge about COVID pandemic among the researchers and the students are only 10% when we have started the training. But after the training delivered by Sean to the virtual manner, the post-assessments of all the results regarding the knowledge of parameters we have designed for the COVID-19 researchers training awareness program will high up to 98%. Similarly, the other parameter we have evaluated is about the skills of the COVID-19 among the researchers. And these skills in the pre-assessment, we have found only 13% of the researchers know about and has some skills about it. But after the training program, it went up to 97% with the level with the P level of 0.001%. So with that training research, we have finally assume and find out what are the results when the person has some kind of a noise in their mind that they have to have learned this thing and they do not know everything about it. They can generate such kind of a behavior, either depending upon the positive or the negative behavior. For that purpose, we need to address the noise of that person, because when we are going to address the noise of that person, implementation of the communication initiated. And when they accept that noise that they are facing, and then the implementation of the training would happen. And through this, we can assume the result that whenever the behavior is appropriate, it will decreases the risk. And whenever the inappropriate behavior arises, it will increases the risk in the laboratory. So we have implanted this program to all the researchers, and it worked with the positive and the appropriate behavior with all these 98% results. With that, it happens, and it has been discussed that leaders' responsibilities to communicate all these risk mitigation plan is really, really essential, because leaders always follow the CARE model. And what is this CARE model? It is, in this CARE model, the E is the expectations of the leader from the researchers, which is going to deal with all these pandemic situations and do their best to work for the public. And these when the leaders have some expectation, they will give you some resources. And when they are going to give you some resources, they have accountable, and they used to go and ask what you are going through and what you have learned and what you are doing. And for that purpose, they have also the compliance. So collectively, leader has a care model to do with all the researchers, and we have tested this model through this training program. So it worked, and results are in front of you. So the goal of final research communication is we have to have a researchers to be compliant and to accountable, plus communication with them. This is really essential, because among them, when the compliance and accountability along with the communication, it will work with the responsible leadership. With that, responsible training program have such kind of effect. In the end, we have the responses and the feedback of the training program with this word cloud, which I've mentioned in the methodology section, and we have had this kind of a training responses after the training program, which was the preliminary immediate virtual training program in the beginning of the pandemic in Pakistan. These are some snapshots of this training program. And with that, I would like to acknowledge my mentor, Sean Kaufman, and my mentor, Professor Dr. Abid Azhar, to give me this opportunity to deal with all these pandemic situation training program among the researchers, lab workers, and also the non-technical staff or the non-scientific staff or my institute or in the different parts of the Sindh. And my final comments for this is to communicate your researchers and the people surrounding you very frequently and quickly, but with empathy, because we all may be facing the same storm, but we are not all in the same place. Put yourself in the position of others and encourage acceptance and all kindness to all. With that, thank you so much for inviting me. With that, if you have any question, let me know. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr.